This is Computer Integrated Manufacturing Activity 212 Mass Property Analysis. We are looking at Model 1, the slotted angle block. So let's get a closer image of this block so that we can draw this in Fusion. So to draw it in Fusion, we have an overall width of the object is 5.125 inches. Depth is 2.75 inches, and the overall height is 1.75 inches. Why they have it in both locations, I don't know, but they do. It says the overall chamfers are 45 degrees, and the slot is centered on the part. So let's go ahead and get started. In Fusion, I want to make sure that in my CIM folder that I have a 212 folder, and that I am showing that folder as being the one that's open. I'm going to go first things first. I'm going to go ahead and save this object, this drawing as 212 Model 1. You don't have to put in the slotted angle block. I put that in there, but it's just 212 Model 1 is all you need. Go ahead and click Save, and it'll show up over here in my data panel. And the next thing that I want to do is I want to make sure that I am in inches. So I'm going to go to Document Settings. My units are currently millimeters, so I'm going to modify that and change that to be inches. However, when I go to do this, I might need to make a change later on this to a custom value, but we'll worry about that in a little bit. Right now I just want to do it as inches. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK. Actually, I'm going to set it as default and then click OK. And now my inches are set as my default, and I am ready to create a new component. I'll call this new component Model 1, and then click OK. I'm now in the Model 1 component. My radio button is active, so I'm ready to start drawing my object. Again, I'm going to go back and look at my overall dimensions of height of 1.75, width 5.125, and depth of 2.75. So let's go ahead and make a box. On my front view, starting at the origin, going up 1.75 inches for a width of 5.125 inches. I'll hit enter on my keyboard, and the last thing I need to do is it wants to know its depth, and the depth we said was 2.75 inches. So at this point, this is my overall size of my block. I'm going to go ahead and click my home view to move it into the center of my screen. Going back to my instructions, it says the slot is centered on the part. So this is the slot going back through here. So I'm going to center this 0.75 inch height and 0.625 inch depth object or slot on my right side view. So I'm going to create a new sketch on the right side view. I'm going to create a rectangle. This rectangle I'm just going to place anywhere in here. It's going to be 0.75 inches in height. It's going to be 0.625 inches in width, and I'll hit enter. Right now it's just randomly on here. I can move it around up and down if I need to. That's great, but I want to center it on this line across the top. So to do that, I'm going to go to the midpoint tool, which is the triangle up here. I can click on it here, or I can go into Constraints menu and go down to Midpoint. Click on the top line because that's what I'm going to center it on. Click on this top line of my rectangle, and it's going to connect the two midpoints together and place that object centered on that top line. I will finish my sketch. Click on my Extrude button. Click on my rectangle that I just made. Drag it back part way. Tell it over here in the Extrude panel that I want it to be an extent type of distance. I want to change that to all so it goes the entire way through, and I'll click OK. At this point, I've got my notch. Now I need to do my chamfers. Looking back again at my instructions, I have a chamfer on the front surface here and the back surface that comes down to a point where it is 1 inch above the bottom. So they didn't give you the exact chamfer dimension. They gave you the end point dimension. All chamfers are at 45 degrees. I have to know how far down it goes. It's telling me it comes down to the 1 inch mark, but that's not telling me how far it goes. So I have to do some math. I have to take the overall height of 1.75 and subtract 1 inch from it so that I know what is the distance from the top to this point where the angle ends on the chamfer. That's 0.75. 1.75 minus 1 inch is 0.75. So my chamfer is going to be 0.75 inches. So I'm going to take, and I'm going to click on the Modify menu. I'm going to go to Chamfer. I'm going to click on the front corner, the back corner, or edge, I should say, and I'm going to tell it 0.75. 0.75 inches. When I do that, that's going to put that chamfer on there. I want it to be equal distance, so it's 0.75 in both directions. Or I could change it to distance and angle, and it would be 0.75 and 45. Either one works. You get the same result because it's equal distance. I'll click OK to that. I'm going to do the chamfer again for the other one, but its dimensions are different. Again, they didn't give me the exact distance down to here, but on the back side they said that the chamfer ends at 0.75 inches above the bottom. Going back, doing my math again, 1.75 minus this 0.75 leaves me with 1 inch. So I'll come back, click on my chamfer tool again under Modify, click on the left edge, then the right edge, and tell it, I'm going to make mine equal distance just because it's easier, that I want that dimension to be 1 inch, and I will click OK to that, and it makes that angle 1 inch. And that looks like my original drawing now that they gave me. Looks the same. So at this point, my instructions tell me that this item is made out of mild steel. So I need to change its material type to mild steel. So I'll go back to Fusion. I'm going to right click on my model, go down to Physical Properties, and over here in the metals category, I'll scroll down until I get to metals. I'm going to scroll down until I get to mild steel. Well, that's a ways down, so I'm going to drag my menu down here until I get to where it says steel. Keep on going. There's a lot of different steels in here. I'm going to keep on going. I'm almost to the bottom now, and now I'm getting into steel with some different letters, and there's mild steel. I'm almost all the way to the bottom. Mild steel. I'll click on it. You get a hand. I drag it out here. I drop it on the material, and I click Close, and it has changed that material to mild steel. How do I know that? Well, I can open up my component. I can open up the bodies, and I can right-click on the body and go down to Properties, and you'll see that it says physical material is mild steel. Now, for the instructions purposes of answering the questions, this is not set up the way I want my answers to be. My answers are asking for things in pounds per cubic inch. So I'm going to go back, and I'm going to take this, I'm going to click OK to this. I'm going to go back to my dimension area, and I'm going to go change my units. And instead of saying inches with ounce and mass, I'm going to go to custom. And when I go to custom, I'm going to tell it I want to be length is in inches, but my mass I want to be in pounds mass. And I will click OK to that. Now, if I go back to the properties menu and look at this, you'll see that my measurements for properties and density and that are in pounds instead of ounces, and that will make your calculations work on your sheet. So this is where you'll find your answers after you've changed that for activity 212, model 1.